Ham already looking forward to next season. Watford still have one more hurdle to overcome, and even then it might not necessarily be in their hands. They're up against Arsenal, but it's a club that finds itself in disarray yet again. The players have spoken about this and said, you know what, we're sort of used to it now. It doesn't really matter who takes charge at this stage. But with someone like Hayden Mullins, who yes has taken charge of games for Watford before, but doesn't really have huge amount of managerial experience in this situation.
No, he doesn't. And then what was interesting is Ben Foster. I really like watching Ben Foster do his interviews because he doesn't hold back. He says exactly what he's thinking, and he was saying that, you know, players are going in their shell a bit. People are not showing for the ball. You can see the he stuck his leg in here.
Because he gets jiggy.
Well, the thing with it, they were getting tired because City were just passing them all over.
In the Premier League.
It wouldn't surprise me, especially the way Arsenal are playing at the moment. You know, they find it very difficult to break teams down. So if Watford watched anything to what Villa done, then, you know, Arsenal are going to have a tough day.
Yeah, it could be a tough day for them. But for Watford, it's just been a tough time all round. It felt like when Nigel Pearson came in that he'd shored them up somewhat. They had breathing space between themselves and the bottom three.
Well, I think he did. I think he did a great job. And I think of all the teams down there at the bottom, I think you looked at the teams, you know, the bottom six, and you thought they had the best attacking players down there. Delafeu, he went out injured. That was a big blow. Doucouré I thought was a masterstroke. Really, rather than play deeper, he went almost and played as a number 10, and he was magnificent. Sarr on the right hand side, he's a handful. But obviously, you know, I think their form is tailed off. And to be fair to them, no team can go through 4 managers in the season. It's ridiculous. And I know they can argue that their philosophy works and, you know, and all that. But, you know, you think back, Javi Garcia, the job that he did last season, all of a sudden, you know, a few games he's out. I just think the way they've run it this season, as you know, I think in a way they deserve to go down. But I love Danny Welbeck, I love Ben Foster. I hope they find a way to find something special, because they're in a dreadful position, and they didn't need to be.
And also, when the decision was made, it wasn't necessarily one that the owners had in mind. It wasn't something that they planned for and thought, in the way that other managers, there's been someone else lined up. This one seems to have been done over one, I'll call that a conversation.
Well, yeah, I think that was definitely a factor. I think they were worried. They were definitely worried, because obviously since the restart, all their games have been very poor first half, really poor. And they got over the line against Newcastle and Norwich just about. Games squeaked over the line in those 2 games, and I think they were starting to really panic about the way the team was playing, the confidence, energy levels, and a conversation took place after the West Ham game, in which I think there was probably a forthright exchange of views. And I think they just thought, well, we're not going to keep him on anyway as the manager after this season, so let's make the change now and hope to get some sort of jolt from the players. Now, if you're continually doing that, try and get some reaction from the players, then fundamentally there's something wrong in the squad, isn't there? And I think Ben Foster's a very honest guy. I was at the game, and he was doing his nuts the whole game. The whole game. What he said in the post-match interviews just reflected the way he was on the pitch. And I think I look at them and see a team who are playing for themselves, I think, a little bit. I think they're playing within themselves. And I don't see them putting the bodies on the line for the cause. I don't think the players are really sort of looking at it and thinking, I'm going to take responsibility here. It's unfortunate that Deeney's not 100% fit, because he's got this knee problem, because they need him. They're a better team with him. He is their natural leader. But sometimes other players have to step up, and there are talented players there who I think have gone missing, frankly, for Watford in the last few weeks. They shouldn't be in this situation. They should have been well clear of this. The club has an awful lot of responsibility for us, absolutely, but so do the players, you know, as well. But I think the club ultimately has to carry the can for the way it's behaved, really, the way it's organised itself.
And that's why it all goes down to the last day for Watford. They're at Arsenal. We can hear now from Mikel Arteta.
At the end of the day, we weren't good enough to be with the top teams, and that's not a lie. And it shows the big room for improvement and the gap that is still there that has to be minimized really, really quickly in order to be in a good position to challenge those teams.
Arguably your most important game left now is the cup final to try and get into Europe. It will only be human nature really for the players to think that as well, wouldn't it, ahead of this game with Watford?
Yeah, but the best way to prepare the final is to be 100% focused on the next game, get the confidence back, you know, getting good momentum, physically be ready to do that, because when you're not bad things happen all the time, and we better be prepared.
Is winning the FA Cup and finishing 8th in the Premier League, does that constitute a good season for Arsenal?
No. For me, this club deserves the best, and you have to be fighting for every title. Obviously, after everything that happened, if we are able to win the final and qualify for Europe, we can say that it's okay, but it's not the level for this football club.
He's got a lot of support, Mikel Arteta, from the Arsenal fans. We saw the banner that was flown over the ground in support of him, critical of the owners. But you talked earlier about Emiliano Martinez. How much has he impressed you? Well,
when you go to a number 2, the first thing you do, you worry, because you're thinking, has he had enough games? Will he be able to deal with the pressure? Obviously, there's no fans there. But, everybody spoke about Emi and how good he is. But I didn't realise how good he was, because you didn't see enough of him. You saw him in some cup games, but he's commanding. He makes great saves. He's good on the ground. He's got everything, for a number 2. And the thing what frightens me now with him is that when Bernd Leno does come back and he is fit, why would he want to continue to be a number 2 when he's played to this level, being a number 1? He would surely want to go and be a number 1 now. What frightens me is that you look at someone like Frank and you look at what Chelsea's doing, you just say to yourself, something, can we prize him away? Because this is what worries me, simply because you look at what he's done and how he plays, he is better than Kepa now. I think he's probably better than Bernd Leno, if I'm going to be totally honest, what I've seen. So then if another club were to come in for an Arsenal goalkeeper, but would you be happier if it was Bernd Leno they came in for? Well, to be honest, I don't want Bernd to go. But what I'm saying about him is that what we've got to do, we've got to be very careful with him, because if Bernd does come back, he's now in a situation where he's played fantastically, Jace. He's been brilliant, and he's probably got the taste for that now. So why would you want to go back to being a number 2 and not playing? So that's a big worry. He's also been there an awful long time. Yes, he has. An awful long time. It's incredible. I can't know exactly how many years it is, but he's been there a long time. He's waited patiently to get his opportunity. I think you're right. He must be at some point in your career you think, listen, I've proven myself as a Premier League goalkeeper here. I want to play. Yeah, it's 10 years he's been there. Wow. Which means also that he'll be at an age where he will be wanting this. You can only be a developing player or goalkeeper for so long. Yeah, he's now, for me, this little time, and obviously it's different when there's no fans in there, because it's all about pressure. You mentioned that about and Henderson. It's a different pressure at Man United to Sheffield United. There's a different pressure when you're playing for Arsenal with the crowd in and games you have to win. So those things are a big test for us. But he looks to me like he could pass all those tests. Yeah, and they've been really lucky to have him in that situation. They're up against Watford, who are going to find it very difficult to get past him.
Yeah, I'm with the guys. I think I've been super impressed with them. I think the thing about him is, when you see a keeper, you can see a nervous one, and you can see a confident one, and he's a confident one. Even when he looks like the attacker's in favour, he stands up to it. He's ready, and I think Mikel's got a really good one there. But I think obviously the bigger issue with Arsenal is still that defence. They're fortunate they still rely heavily on Aubameyang, but I think Mikel's done a terrific job of, with all the political issues there, with Özil and Guendouzi, integrating the players that actually want to be there and play well. So it's a tough job. They're not a Champions League team anymore. They haven't been for a long time, and I think it's going to need a rebuild. I think Mikel started that, but ultimately he makes a good point. Just winning FA Cup's not enough. They need results. They want to get back up there, but that gap to the other top 4 teams looks like it's growing. Yeah, it is. So Arsenal, if they take something from Watford, could mean that Watford are relegated to the Championship. Watford and Aston Villa then level on points, separated by just 1 goal in terms of goal difference.